Okay, if you'll all please rise for the invocation. Tonight's invocation will be given by Dr. Ed Glaze of Fairhope United Methodist Church. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's go to God in prayer. Almighty God, on this day in which our nation remembers what occurred 16 years ago, we come with heavy hearts knowing that people are still grieving the loss of loved ones in places like Washington and Pennsylvania and New York. And we know too, God, that people are grieving the loss of loved ones that have defended our country in the years since September 11th, 2001. And so, God, we pray for your comforting presence be upon all who are grieving and all who are remembering with much sadness the events of this day. We come also thanking you for those who serve our nation, not only men and women in uniform of the armed forces and of the law enforcement agencies and the fire departments, but God, we thank you for these council members and our mayor as they give of themselves for the benefit of this community. Guide their work tonight, O God. May it be filled with your wisdom, may it be free from any acrimony, and may it be guided by the spirit of love that each and every one of them have for this city. We thank you for the blessing of being in this town. We thank you for all the good things you're doing for Fairhope. May we who receive these blessings be truly grateful and know that because we've been so blessed, we're called to share our blessings with others. We ask all this now in the name of the one who's the greatest blessing of all, Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Glaze. Just a reminder, Council, that item number 35, the building official, Eric Cortina, spoke during the work session. That was informational only, so that will be removed from tonight's agenda. And I believe that's it. We did hand out a new resolution for item 25 for the installation of the lights. I believe that we might need a little bit more discussion and a little bit more clarification on that. Councilman Robinson, you might want to help out with that when the time comes. Sure. And let's see, the other thing that was added, item 30, we did hand out some of the nominees for the Finance Committee. Right after the work session, you should have been giving those. There were 4 of those names given to you. I believe that's it. And with that, we'll move to item 1 on the agenda, which is to approve the minutes of the regular City Council meeting, the work session, and the agenda meetings which were held on August the 28th. Do you have any additions or deletions or changes to those? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, those minutes are approved. Mayor Wilson, your report, please.
Thank you, Council President. Is this on? Thank you, Council President. I've been thinking a lot about those who have been affected by Hurricane Irma. I know everybody has. And I want to commend our county and local employees for helping with the incoming evacuees. And I'm so proud of the level of organization and preparedness ready our area is for future threats. We will continue praying for those being threatened by this catastrophic storm. And we really just can't say enough about where we are right now and how different tonight would be if it just turned course just a little bit. There might be some people here concerned about the Fly Creek apartment development that was approved Monday. And I did want to just mention a couple of things. I think most of you know where I stand on this project. The PUD itself was approved on April 11th, 2016. And as you know, I participated in stopping the original plat from being approved due to the non-compliance by the developer in October of last year. And I vetoed the council's decision to extend the timeline by which the developer had to submit a revised and compliant site plan due to the moratorium in April of this year. The moratorium, though, was not put in place specifically for this development. In fact, that was far from why the moratorium was put in place. And that's why I vetoed that decision. But council did override that veto, and the developer had the opportunity to resubmit. That pretty much is it in a nutshell. I will tell you, Wayne and our staff understand the sensitive nature of this project and treated it the narrow technical review accordingly. The scope of the review was for compliance of the site plan with the PUD approval in April 2016. It was not a review of the project itself and did not revisit the desirability of the previous decisions. The site plan was found by the planning staff to be in compliance with the previously approved PUD, and therefore staff's recommendation was for approval, and the Planning Commission confirmed that approval. Agenda items 6 and 10 on the agenda tonight, I'll mention again, similar to last week. Council chose to, or decided to have brokers request quotes for stop-loss insurance, which is a component of our health insurance policy, where the maximum amount that the city would pay would be a certain amount for each individual city employee, rather than choosing a broker to do this for us, which is the proper procedure. The effect was that Regions shut down the market, and now council is going with Regions, even though it had an advantage over other brokers in the process. This choice will cost the city a minimum of $90,000, and that doesn't count the savings on insurance packages that they were proposing. This process was done without me, and my goal is to bring the very best to future employees to remain competitive. Health insurance is considered part of a compensation plan. Cobbs Allen would have done this and saved us money. I'd like to thank Lynn Mazer for all her hard work and research that went into the benefits of running our city marina. I think council can agree she is a straight shooter and really addresses all the pros and cons very diplomatically and explains everything in detail, and I do appreciate that. I am pleased to announce that Richard Johnson will be joining the City of Fairhope team as our new Public Works Director. Richard is a graduate of Troy University with a BS in Mathematics, Physical Science, and the University of South Alabama with a BS in Civil Engineering. He is a registered professional engineer and has served the last 7 years as the Director of Public Works for the City of Daphne. He has extensive experience in municipal public works operation, including engineering, project management, administration, street maintenance, building maintenance, mechanical maintenance, grounds mowing, solid waste management, and stormwater maintenance. I'm thrilled to have this position filled so we can start working on one of citizens' #1 concerns, and that is stormwater. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Thank you for that report, Mayor Wilson. Next item is public participation for agenda items only. If you would like to speak to agenda items 5 through 34, once again, we did delete 35, so 5 through 34, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Paul Ripp with the Ripp Report. Last week you discussed the insurance, and it did look as if, as a participant sitting in the audience, that the consideration of what the mayor was saying was not taken into full consideration as far as the price. You've got a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayer. What it's looking like is that you're going opposite just on anything the mayor suggests. And I'd like to ask Council President, is that true? I mean, is this a decision that you're making based on insurance and rates and everything, or is this just simply because the mayor wants to go the other way or has brought another suggestion?
Sir, we asked for quotes, we received quotes, we went with the lowest timely quote.
So it doesn't have anything to do with the mayor?
Not at all.
Okay.
Jenny Pritchard, 9 Viale Trentino. I'd like to echo the mayor's comments and credit Lynn for all the hard work that she's done in preparing, some of the proposals that we have up for this evening. And I'd like to fully endorse Amendment number 5, which is the situation for the city to take on running the marina. I know there are people around on different boards that think that things should stay as they are, that the city should not be doing this, but if we look at all the information available, that on the East Coast there's only 2 other marinas that are not run by the council. One of those marinas is in bankruptcy. Every other one is successfully run by the city. And again, to remind everybody that the state of the marina down there has been run down. It's in a deplorable state. The lifting station is really well past its due date. There's a health and safety issues down there. The maintenance has not been performed. Previous owner or leasee down there has not honored their side of the lease. Very difficult to enforce it. And again, I'd strongly recommend the city take over that, because if you don't, then I can absolutely guarantee you that history will repeat itself. And that area will end up in, a mess as it is now. We're going to spend a lot of money improving it, putting it right, and a third party is going to come in commercially, is not going to honor their side. They're interested in the money they can make, and understand they have to make a profit, but it's obvious that when you go down and look at the condition of the marina now, that our past history is bad. So I would absolutely strongly recommend that the council approve the city taking over and managing the area however they wish to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard.
My name is Wayne Bunch. I live at 861 Seacliff Drive. I'm also talking about the marina, but not the issue itself, but the communications on the marina. And specifically, a few weeks ago, there was a meeting at 17 Turtles about the marina, and in that meeting, I expressed a concern that all Seacliff residents were not invited to that meeting, even though it impacted everyone on the street. I was told the city did not have all of our contact information, so we provided that to Lynn Mazer and to the mayor. While that didn't make sense, we provided the information in detail. Email addresses, phone numbers, etc., addresses. At the completion of that meeting, I asked for the mayor's commitment, as well as Lynn Mazer's, that we would be contacted before anything else took place. That did not happen, and I'm unclear why, after providing our contact information, there's still a breakdown of communication.
You had asked if there was... You had asked if we would meet before there was any development down there, and there's no development.
By development, what the conversation centered around before it moved forward. This
No.
was still in the planning stages, and our concern was it was moving forward without the opportunity to hear your clear vision. There was a lot of confusion on what your vision was for that. And
The vision
commitment-
hasn't started yet, but, I mean, that meeting, and I think anybody else that came to that meeting will agree that we said that before we would put together a plan for that marina and anything that's done down there, we would absolutely want to make sure that the residents were brought to the table, especially,
But tonight, we're voting on not just taking over the marina, taking bids on the boatyard, hiring a marina manager. That is moving forward with a plan.
there's no development right now except that the city is going to take over the boat slip rental.
The broader question is regarding this meeting. Some people did get contacted about this meeting and the vote that would take place. I still did not get contacted, even though you have my contact. Others on our street, my next door neighbor, I can go on. Some get information about these meetings and the fact that it will be on the agenda. Others do not, and I'm confused about that, since we provided all of that information.
Can I ask you a question? You referenced a meeting.
Yes.
Was that a city-called meeting that you went to?
Well, he asked a question.
Robinson.
He asked a question.
Finish his question.
Yeah.
Was this a city-called meeting
It
that
was
you went to?
not. That was one of my concerns when I raised the issue. Certain people on the street were invited to a meeting that the mayor and Lynn Mazer came to address a very important issue to the people on this street. Only certain people were invited. So it was not officially the mayor calling the meeting, but the mayor of the city attended the meeting and spoke to the issue. My position was, since it impacted everyone on the street, everyone on Seacliff should have been invited. When I raised the issue, Ms. Mazer told me, oh, well, that's because we don't have your contact information. Now, that didn't make sense to me, but we provided it, and that situation is continuing.
Well, I would have liked to have been invited to that meeting also.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I might, the meeting came about as a result of some Seacliff residents having some concerns about what the city would do down at the marina, rumors that were floating around. They contacted my office, we started working together, and we were working with members of Seacliff, residents of Seacliff, and some of them were taking it upon themselves to reach out to their neighbors. We had a limited list of email addresses. We contacted them. They volunteered to pass the information on. We spent 6 weeks trying to find a date to have this meeting that those members of Seacliff, those residents of Seacliff have requested of the mayor. We got it together, and we got everybody out there that we could contact via the method that we were using at the time. During which time, we explained that the city was looking at taking over the marina, that it was, things were changing. We were discussing what was going on down there, some of the maintenance that was being done, and what was happening, and we did tell them that we would keep them apprised. I emailed everybody on that email list that I got this morning and advised them that tonight's agenda had this vote on it. And that's where we are, because we had nothing to tell them until then, until the agenda came out. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, floor is still open to public participation for agenda items. Okay, I'll close the floor to public close the floor to public participation for agenda items. Remember, you'll be given another opportunity to speak at the conclusion of tonight's meeting. I'll move on to council comments. Councilman Robinson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I want to talk a minute about one of the bigger issues we've been dealing with here recently, and that is the sewer capacity, the sewage overflow, and drainage issues. I get a lot of people that come and ask me questions about it, and they don't feel like it's being adequately explained in these meetings, so I want to just take a second and do my best to explain it from my standpoint and how I understand it. This is a big issue, and it's an issue that really takes a total team effort to address it, and I'm talking about council and mayor and the city, and even its residents to a certain extent. But back in December, I believe, the council approved a sewer capacity study to address the capacity issues that we were suffering or experiencing here in Fairhope. We got the results of that capacity study at the last council meeting, which I think was August the 28th. And there were some recommendations made from that study of things that we can do to address some of the long-term issues that we're facing. And that included replacing pipe, bigger pipe, and even the potential a new sewer plant on the other side of 98. But those are long-term issues, and I explained this to my wife, and she says, that's not enough. What else are you doing? And so, Alex, this is to address some of your concerns. But I've spoken to a lot of citizens about the short-term things that we can do to help remedy these things. And some of these ideas have been mentioned in this meeting or in prior meetings. I think, Mr. Yeager, one of the things I'm going to say is something you suggested in a couple of meetings ago. The first thing is all the residents that live on Fly Creek. I think everybody in Fairhope, but especially those that live on Fly Creek, should get immediate notification of when there has been a sewage overflow that would impact the sanitary conditions of the creek. I think that is an obvious thing that should be addressed. And the next thing is to create maybe some physical barriers, physical catches around these lift stations so that in the event there is an overflow, that there's some preventative measure from keeping that to run off in the creek or in whatever body of water there is that surrounds the lift stations. But these are recommendations that I can make, and I'm making them to you, Mayor, obviously, because these are things that will take the city employees and the day-to-day operation of the city to do, to maintain and to set up. But those are some of the things that I think we can do in the short term while we're still addressing these long-term concerns with the capacity study and fixing the infrastructure needs that need to be addressed. But, I know sometimes it seems like we get bogged down in a lot of the stuff that we're doing, but we are looking into it, we are addressing it. But maybe there are some things that we can do in the short term to help prevent the things that have been happening from happening again. And so, Mayor, I would make those recommendations to you. And,
Thank you.
And then hopefully, again, these are things that citizens came to me with that I thought sounded like good ideas, things that we might have heard in here before. So if there are more ideas that you have that you'd like to bring to me that maybe I can present that sound reasonable or that can help us address this issue, I'd be glad to hear them. So thank you.
I will say that the recap of the study is on our blog, and I'll put it out there again. It does address the things that have to happen ASAP, but what we mean by ASAP, there's nothing fast in sewer upgrades. This is ASAP is over the next couple of years, and the long term really that we're trying to put together is not much longer than that. The ASAP stuff were things that we were supposed to do after 2011 when we got our new sewer plant. Right. So anyway, but those are the things that we're putting in.
That's what when I say short term, I mean I think. And am I calling you Mr. Yeager? Is that? You mentioned potentially a berm around some of these lift stations, and I think that could be something that could be possibly done in the short term. In the next, I don't know how long it would take or how long that, or what the feasibility of that is, but if it's possible, that could be something that we could do in the short term to prevent.
Well, it depends on what the elevation of all the manholes are getting to the lift station. If they're about the same elevation, then they're going to overflow instead of the one at the lift station overflow. So,
Right.
Kevin, I'm sure you're going to appreciate that. That'd be a difficult thing to do. Now, you can put some side stream storage at each lift station site and potentially put a separate pump in there that may have some backup capability that when you lose the control system like we did at Fly Creek, it can energize that pump perhaps. But the overriding issue is an evaluation of the SCADA system so we're able to be alarmed in time to correct that problem before it gets 2 or 3 days, old. And that's as important as anything with that particular instance.
Right. And then another thing would be obviously getting notification to the citizens. I think that's something we can do in the short term.
And I think that's what we're going to try to put in place, and you'll have an edit to the communication that we're trying to put in place from Code Red to another software, but this texts, it's for emergency communication, but we're gonna use it for all kinds of things, including this, so.
So I just, again, thank you for your involvement. Thank you for sharing your ideas with us, and we appreciate it.
Councilman Conyers?
All right, I just had a couple things I wanted to bring up for reminders. Eastern Shore Repertory Theater is putting on the Circus of Dreams. That's going to be Saturday, September the 30th at Belisara Garden in Loxley. You can find out more information, purchase tickets online at easternshorerep.org. Also, FIF has the Fantasy of the Arts event. That's the following Saturday, October the 7th. That's going to be here at the Civic Center, and the theme for that is An Evening in the Big Easy. They've got a lot of great ideas planned for that. It should be a really good event and raise a lot of money for FIF. A couple other things. Went to the 9/11 memorial service this morning that was held at the police department. Chief Pettis, the fire department, the police department did a great job with that event. And I know we've got a lot of things going on in the city. We've got a lot of things on the agenda tonight. They're all important. But considering what happened 16 years ago, considering our neighbors to the west are recovering from Hurricane Harvey and our neighbors to the east are recovering from Hurricane Irma, it does help put things in perspective. We're very fortunate here. We've got a lot of blessings, and just thank you, Chief, for what you and your police officers do for us every day over here. Appreciate it.
And fire department.
And fire department, absolutely.
Is that it, Councilman?
That's it.
Councilman Brown?
Thank you, Councilman Burrell and Councilman Robinson and Conyers covered a lot of what I was going to talk about. Looking over the agenda, sometimes we don't get a lot of information along with the items. Tonight we've got items 16 through 19, talking about some cast-in-place pipe. I'm hoping some of those address the sewer issues. And back to what Councilman Robinson was referring to, if we don't get some of these sewer issues resolved, especially on sensitive watersheds, item number 9, taking over the marina, won't matter because nobody's going to get in the water anyway. So we need to, in my opinion, focus on some of the more important stuff about where the insurance company we hire or not. And that's just my personal opinion. The council does not direct employees. We fund projects and fund stuff around the city. So I just hope we focus on more important issues. That's it.
Councilman Boone?
One of the things, Councilman Robinson, I'd like to point out as far as the short term is the latest instance we had in overflows were strictly due to rain events where we're having infiltration into the lines, which can only occur with openings or holes in the lines, which can be easily rectified by doing a smoke test from manhole to manhole, which the city used to implement from time to time. And I think we need to put that back into place because a lot of times the fixes are relatively simple to do and can alleviate a lot of the problems as far as the overflows or the rain events, drainage overflowing the lift stations and the manholes. But I do feel that we need to start implementing a smoke test procedure over a period of time throughout the city on a regular basis. Second of all, the amphitheater had his second concert, I believe, every second, fourth Friday, which I think was a very good turnout. And I would actually ask everyone to come and support that because I think it's a real good deal there for the city at the amphitheater. The next one will be next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday. There. That's it.
Okay, I guess y'all left me some good news. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, I got one more thing,
Okay,
Jack.
I may not get a chance.
Councilman Boone touched on it, about the infrastructure. We've got a report from Dan McCory a couple months ago about the effects of lining the pipe after, and I can't remember what street it was on, and how it reduced the rain infiltration into the pipe and how much better the lift stations and the manholes performed in a rain event. So back to my original comment, let's focus on, if we know one line needs to be lined, can we not go ahead and bring more additional lining projects to us, I guess is what I'm saying, and let's prioritize some issues.
That was all prioritized in that study.
But that was done before the study, the lining of that pipe.
Well, I mean, as far as the smoke testing, that was Richard talked about that as part of a crew that's ongoing. That smoke test will find the immediate needs and fix those ASAP. But the sewer study does identify the lines that need to be relined in an order of priority.
Councilman Brown?
One more thing, Sergeant Fringer, scouts out. That's it.
Well, nobody mentioned the 2 wins that Fairhope High School had in football since the last meeting, so I'll mention the fact that we finally beat Foley after 3 years and brought the blue and gold trophy back home, and then we put it on Mary Montgomery last Friday night. So it's been a good football season. There we go. There's some good news there. All right, with that, I'll close council comments, and we'll move to item 5, which is an ordinance amending ordinance number 1510, known as the Personnel Rules, Policies, and Procedures of Section 6.01, the health insurance benefits, specifically all employees hired on or after October the 1st, 2017, may choose from 2 options. And I know that our treasurer, who's up to speak right now, is going to address this, but let me be the first to say that if you are a current employee, this does not affect your health care benefits. Let me repeat that. If you are a current employee, Jeremy, this does not affect your benefits.
I'll be happy to speak about items number 5 and 6 together. Before I do that, I'd like to make a couple of comments about the city's health insurance plan for its employees. The city of Fairhope is self-insured for health insurance, and what that means is we have a plan where we use a third-party administrator who is Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they pay all the city's health insurance claims every week, and we pay them every week what they ask us to reimburse them. So, in essence, there's one way for the city to save money on the health insurance plan, and that is to keep employees healthy. The health insurance line item in every department's budget is very high. We have currently about 289 full-time employees and retirees, and there is a lot of money that flows through there, and we try to manage that money as best we can by staying on top of what the expenses are. And so in addition to that, the city has a stop-loss plan that reimburses the city for any individual claim. This year, the amount of money will be $80,000 per claim. Between the city council and the mayor and myself this year about the health insurance, and because everybody recognizes that it's such a large line item expense that needs to be managed and controlled. So we have been, for the last several years, trying to find a way to have new employees cost share on that insurance. So the plan that the council has asked us to implement this year is just very beginning steps of that, and it's for brand-new employees only, hired on or after October the 1st, and they will contribute an amount towards their insurance, and it will be a monthly amount of premium they will pay. And for brand-new employees who choose single-only coverage, that amount would be $75 a month. For brand-new employees who choose family coverage, that amount would be $275 a month. So the question would arise, how did we come up with those numbers? One of the insurance brokers that came to present to us over those several meetings that went on for a long time, these numbers are very comparative right now to what Baldwin County charges all of their employees. In order for the city to begin to ask any employee to contribute an amount to their insurance plan, the city's ordinance in the Personnel Rules and Procedures Handbook needs to be modified. And since that handbook was implemented with a city ordinance, we're asking the city council to modify that ordinance to make these changes. Lisa has the wording of that ordinance, and it's fairly lengthy, so I don't have it right here in front of me to read out. But
You have it under tab 5 in your book.
what it means is, brand-new employees have 2 options. They can choose to stay on the plan that all current employees and retirees have at this time, and they can contribute those amounts of money that I just mentioned. or there is a free option to brand-new employees that may be attractive to them. And it is basically an 80/20 Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, and also in your packet it is identified with the deductibles and co-pays and all that in your packet. The details of that are identified. So even new employees can have free insurance from the city of Fairhope, but they will pay additional amounts for co-pays, and their insurance plan will not be as generous as the plan the current employees have. So that pretty much covers number 5. Resolution number 6 is just a renewal of this current fiscal year 2018 Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. And in that plan, we have worked with them, and they have split the plan according to our wishes, and it's a renewal contract, and that renewal is due by October 1st of every year.
Somebody like to introduce the ordinance, number 5, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Let's just introduce.
Okay,
Doesn't
introduce.
require a second, that's okay. All right, the treasurer has suggested that we go ahead and adopt this tonight, and I think that would probably, if you so choose, that would allow her to get the necessary paperwork. It's going to probably take a while to create the enrollment forms and whatnot that would be necessary for employees that would be hired on or after October the 1st. If we wait until September the 26th, that only gives her about 5 days. So,
I make a motion for immediate consideration.
all right, that's what I'm looking for. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion for immediate consideration and a second. Any discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion for immediate consideration, please say, I'm sorry, roll call that.
Council President?
Aye.
Place 2?
Aye.
Place 3?
Aye.
Place 4?
Aye.
Place 5?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so I think this is very, very important. I want to thank Deborah, and I want to thank Councilman Conyers for doing a lot of work on this, and I believe that the mayor's in support of this. She had talked about implementing this for quite some time, and I hope that she's in agreement with these numbers that are initial numbers for this first year.
I just would have appreciated being brought to the table when this was discussed. I didn't know this was even going to be on the agenda tonight.
That wasn't purposely done. Are you in agreement with the numbers?
I haven't not looked at everything yet, but the biggest cost was medical or the RX, and that was the one that Cobbs Allen was going to be able to save us a great deal of money on.
I believe
And
that
bringing
the-
a premium, option for that.
I believe that the deductibles that are proposed in the options are what they proposed.
I know, I mean, if you give them exactly what they proposed, I'm sure they'll match it, but their RX program is what was going to save the lion's share of the money that they quoted.
Ms. Smith, can you address that?
The city entered into an agreement with Blue Cross Blue Shield this year that was suggested by our current insurance broker, where, name of the plan, it is an RX plan, and there is a different RX plan out there, but there are lots of plans out there, and some of them save more money than others. It really has to do with whether your employees are allowed to purchase high-dollar prescription drugs or not. That's what it boils down to.
Is it not true that the option that you suggested would actually save us more on that high option, or that high-cost drug plan?
I don't really have that information, Council
You
President.
said that there was one of them was $100 deductible, but the other, there was, the employee had to pay 100% of the cost.
Yes,
So therefore, it would save the city money.
yes.
But this also doesn't have the comp plan for jobs, and we do have to pay for that now, $60,000.
That's a totally separate
Right,
resolution.
yeah, that was,
This is to select Blue Cross Blue Shield.
both of them are Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay. I think that's a separate issue that'll be coming up soon. We have a motion for final adoption.
No, you have a motion for immediate consideration.
Okay, well, we voted on that. Right. Okay. Council, I'd entertain a motion for final adoption.
So, second.
We have a motion and a second for final adoption. Any final comments?
I'll just say that this is going to begin to save the city some money on the cost of health insurance and defray that cost moving forward, but it is going to protect all current employees. They're going to be grandfathered in. I know you already said that, but just reiterating it.
Clerk, if you'll call the question.
Council President?
Aye.
Place 2?
Aye.
Place 3?
Aye.
Place 4?
Aye.
Place 5?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance passes. Item number 6 is a resolution that the city council hereby approves the FY 2018 renewal of the contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama to be the third-party administrator of the city's self-insured health insurance plan and to approve changes to the health plan. That Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute the FY 2018 renewal of the contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama to be the third-party administrator of the city's self-insured health insurance plan. In the event the mayor refuses to sign the contract, the council president is authorized to sign the contract. I'll entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any final comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you, council. Item number 7 is a resolution the city council hereby approves the Fairhope Police Department's application for funding for the 2017 Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation digital grant for 2 electronic message boards to assist with traffic during events, road work, evacuations, and other emergencies. Chief Pettis, let me go ahead and, will you go ahead and address 7 and 8 while you're up there? Also, the Walmart Foundation Community Grant for digital cameras.
Yes. Number 7, Firehouse Subs has a foundation, and basically what they do is for police departments, well, public safety first, period. They have grants set aside, and you can apply for them, and they're 100% grants. There's no matching. And so we were looking, and we were looking at the electronic message boards because when we have arts and craft and stuff, a couple years ago, we knew we were going to have good weather, and so we borrowed them from the county, but you can't always borrow the county's boards. And so we thought it would be great if we applied for the grant and we was able to get it, and we could get 2 message boards, because it can help out on, just like you named, all the things you named. And if we had, you know, a water main break or something, we could put them out, and we could let people know the detour off this road and which way to go and all of that. So we thought that that would be great. Walmart also has a foundation for community grants, and their grant that's coming up now is for digital cameras or metal detectors or other stuff like for investigations and stuff. And it's for police departments, and they work good. We work well with Walmart as well as Firehouse Sub, and so we wanted to apply for that grant also. And like this is another 100%. It's no matching fees. If you get it, you know, you get it, and it's nothing to pay back or nothing to match.
Thank you, Chief. Council, I'll entertain a motion to pass Resolution 7.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, item 7 is approved. Item number 8 is a resolution. The City Council hereby approves the Fairhope Police Department's application for funding for the 2017 Walmart Foundation Community Grant for digital cameras for patrol and or a metal detector for investigations. Entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'm glad to hear that those are 100%. Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you, council. Item number 9. This is a resolution that the City Council hereby authorizes to take over and operate the marina to be called the Fairhope Docks on October the 15th, 2017, and will ask for a request for proposals for the boatyard. Ms. Mazur?
Okay, we'll keep this short, I hope. No point in repeating history. The Fairhope Docks is an historic name for the marina, and that was the name that we chose. With the council goes through and takes over the management of the marina. That's what we would like to call it, go back to our history. I want to publicly once again state, as the mayor has often said, we do not have intentions of going down there and building restaurants, having wedding venues, and all this other stuff. We want to run the marina. You have to go all the way around the Florida Peninsula to Beaufort, South Carolina, before you find a city-owned marina that is leased. And that is a peculiar situation in which it was privately owned, and the owner sold it to the city and then leased it back. And he can't explain to me why he did that, but that's a personal issue. Every marina around the Gulf Coast and around Florida that is owned by the city and operated by the city is making money. They are successful, and there is no reason why we cannot be. We own soccer fields, we own ball fields, we own a golf course, we own a rec center. This is probably the most expensive asset we have, and I think it's important that the city manage it and keep it as the water gateway to Fairhope. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Lynn?
I just would say thank you for all your hard work. I know you spent a lot of time on this. And,
This has been my pleasure.
and please, though, before moving forward with anything, please include the Seacliff crowd when you are considering plans for what we're going to actually do.
They will
with the
be brought
construction.
in on everything that we're doing. I did advise them this morning to please bear with us. We are down there doing a lot of maintenance that is required. As you all of you have been down there, recognize that it needs help, to bear with us. But as we go along in this process, we will keep them advised of.
Thank you.
And I will use the email list that I have. I can only hope that they have their friends send me their emails so we can include them.
Would you include the council in those emails as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, council, I want to have a little discussion about this, but I wanted to get this on the table, so I'll entertain a motion. This resolution, to pass this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I want to state, just mostly for the record and for the crowd, that when the subject a couple of years ago came up, the Marina discussion came up, actually probably 4 years ago with Mr. Riggs, who took a big interest in improving the facilities there. I see a couple of members of the Harbor Board here. And I believe that a couple of years ago when I forget which one expired, the boatyard or the marina lease expired, we only allowed them to renew it for a couple of years, looking towards the date that's coming up here in a few weeks, a dead date in which the other contract expired. We wanted to keep our options on the table to combine the two leases, to lease one, not the other, maybe vice versa. We just wanted to keep all options on the table. And I think initially, I know that I myself in particular put up a lot of resistance to the city taking over the marina. I didn't really want to get into the marina business. And Ms. Mazer kept working on me pretty hard, and she's working on Councilman Boone. And I think I asked her a lot of tough questions, and I put her through the ringer on that. But I want to say that, I think she did a very outstanding job and did her homework. And it was not easy. I think she would admit to, at least to convince me that this was the best thing for the city, because I don't really want to grow government and grow employees and all the things that entails. But she put together a lot of numbers, and while I could have picked on one or two here and there, overall, it convinced me that we should take over at least the marina portion. And then she called in Councilman Boone, who was the Harbor Board liaison in the City Council. Then she convinced Councilman Boone, I believe that it was and step in anytime, Councilman Boone, that was the right thing to do.
Took the following
And I don't
week
think
to
that
do
that
it.
was I don't think that was a very easy sell either. Well, that's our job. We question everything. And so she convinced us, and I want to say to the people, especially at Seacliff Drive, I don't live too far from there either, that what is proposed right now is just for us to operate the marina. Is that the mayor, like the mayor said, there are no other plans that are hidden from the public's view. This would be basically going down there and making improvements to the marina that are long in coming, such as, rebuilding pier structures, such as that, probably putting in better water supply, better shore power, things such as that that need to be done to represent the Fairhope docks, which I think is an outstanding name. Lynn found that as the historical name. So I think that it's going to be a great benefit for the city. And I think that we're making the right move. And I don't know exactly what's going to come of a boatyard lease, how many takers or how many suitors we're going to have for that, but we're going to put it out for bid. And we're going to later vote on creating some positions to work at the marina and possibly funding those positions. And I think those are going to be, we're going to have some in-depth discussion about that tonight. But in essence, taking over the marina is a good idea. And, I don't know that any of you have any pushback to that, but I do want to let the residents of the city know that there was an awful lot of work that went into that. We did look at renewing that marina lease, the boatyard lease, for an additional 6 months. The city was unable to come to terms with the current leaseholder, and so we are now voting on whether to move on and be a new day on the marina. So I believe we have a motion and a second.
I'd like to say,
I've talked too much. Go ahead.
well, basically, in the interest of fairness, I would like to say that the Harbor Board, by most part, not all of them, but by most part, they were not in favor of the city taking it over. But I believe truly that once we do this and with the future outcome of how it's going to turn out, I think they're all going to turn out and say this was probably a real good idea, because I feel it is a good idea. But I do want to say in fairness, the Harbor Board and.
Well, I want to say to the Harbor Board that your work is just starting, because we are going to look for a lot of advice and a lot of guidance on now what we're going to do as far as upgrading or making repairs, just what it's going to look like. I mean, we have some things on the agenda tonight that concern the marina, and there's going to be some money spent down there. And that's not to make it Disney World, that's just to bring it up to code and make it safe and make it a clean marina and things such as that. So Harbor Board, I think that you're probably should be excited about the work that you're going to be undertaking at the marina. I get that right, Councilman Boone? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay. There's one nay. Resolution passes. Thank you, council. Item number 10 is a resolution that City Council hereby authorizes City Council President to sign resolution number 2850-17 and approve the contract for the city's FY 2018 stop loss and insurance broker contracts. Entertain a motion for this resolution, please.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Council, this came about because we need to get this stopgap in order. Very sensitive to the fact that we did bid this out, and sensitive to the mayor's comments that one company did lock down the market. And I guess if they didn't lock it down, the other company would have locked down the market. We were in the beginning of the third year of a 3-year contract, and so one could argue whether or not we even needed to put that out for a rebid. But we had presentations in open meetings, and the council was pretty much split over who they wanted to choose. So we felt the fairest way to select the stopgap was to put it out for quotes. One of them came in late. We don't know what the numbers were. I don't know what the numbers were. I don't even know that it would have beat the low bid, but I do know that we should stick to our rules. We did. We took the low bid. Unlike one of the local media outlets said that we refused to put it out for bid, that's simply not true. We did put it out for quotes. And so we selected it based on price. Mayor, I know that you are stating that the company that did not win would put together a compensation study and save the city money. That may be true. Probably is true. I'm not sure if regions can do that. I'm not certain that they can. I won't even say that they can. But at the same time, regions also says that through their contract negotiations with medical care providers, they can also drive down the cost of our medical expenses, or drive down our medical expenses. So who's to say? Who's to say that had we chosen someone and then got quotes that we would have saved money? I think it's easy for them to say that in hindsight, but we put it out for bid, or we got quotes. we saved money over last year's prices quite a bit, and we selected the lowest price. And Mayor, I regret that you didn't sign that, and so now we're forced, because we had asked you to sign that, to make the decision for someone else to sign that. So that's where we're at, council, so.
I just want to point out that the process would be to pick a broker. I'm not familiar with insurance policy and how this is done, but I can assure you, I was caught up on the proper process. You choose a broker. Council asked 2 brokers to present in July. They asked Regions, which is our current broker, and we invited Cobbs Allen. And I invite everybody to look at those presentations. I don't know one person that walked away and said there wasn't a clear winner. They were going to save us money, give better services, and, some of the services they were going to give us were going to make the HR department a lot easier to run. The level of savings and efficiency on this probably cannot put a price on it. But part of the process, too, when you get a quote, is you can refuse all bids. And in this case, that should have happened. It would have saved us a minimum of $50,000 and about $60,000 for the comp study that would be in place. Every time we hired somebody, we could go to Cobbs Allen and say, we want to look at this position, the job description, look at like municipalities, and they could give us in real time what the comps would be. And because they didn't go with Cobbs Allen, we now have to pay $60,000 for that study, and it will be old the first year that we get it. And we only order that maybe once every 4 to 5 years. There's every reason to choose Cobbs Allen. And it is my belief that it wasn't chosen because it was a company that I brought in. And
Mayor,
I have-
give you great leeway to talk during the council discussion portion of this vote.
I want to, these are tax dollars, and the citizens need to know how much this is costing them.
Councilman Burrell, is it not correct that Regions has saved the city over $100,000 a year in the last couple of years?
I think $1 million in the last 3 or 4 years.
$1 million, and you can go to Regions and ask for the same benefits, and I believe in their presentation, they offer a work comp study, so you just have to ask for it.
And I even said, I'm not certain, but I think that you can. The other thing is that we were already we were 2 years into a 3-year contract, and we asked for that to be bid. So you're saying you choose the broker, and then they negotiate. We had already chosen one 3 years ago. And so we go to our broker of record 2 years into a 3-year contract and say, you're not good enough. We're going to pick somebody else. I mean, so we did 3 years ago do exactly what you said do, and that is to get a broker of record, and they did their job, and they went out and they got quotes. That's what we pay them to do.
I just don't know why you asked them to give a presentation then.
Well, I think we did that in an effort to try to select a broker. I agree with you. The proper thing to do would be to select a broker first and then bid it out. But when you have the council is, I think, generally split on the matter, you have to move forward somehow. And so to move forward, we tried to take everyone's opinion out of it and just make it a number saying, I personally preferred Cobbs Allen, but when we bid it out, again, Regions was lower. Cobbs did have a second bid that came in 23 hours after the deadline, and, we just felt that we couldn't open that. I mean, I think we did it as fair as we could. And that's coming from somebody who was preferred Cobbs, so.
I would say also for the record, Mayor, that if there was anybody in the room that decided, or when a decision was made not to open that second bid, I was probably the one that was most in favor of opening that second bid. I had to be talked out of it.
I would agree with that.
You can reject them too and start.
But if you rejected with them, we're right back to where we are, where we're a split decision and we can't make up our mind. So we had to move forward. So if we'd rejected all bids and then come back to the table and said, okay, who do we pick? Well, it's a split decision.
You would have
So.
that one sealed.
Can I make a motion, Jack?
Yeah, well, let's call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Okay. Motion passes. Thank you, council. Item number 11 is a resolution that resolution number 2831-17 is hereby rescinded relating to the MPO downtown traffic, pedestrian safety, and wayfinding signage and parking study, RFQ number PS039-17, and that the City Council approves the selection of Christian Preuss Landscape Architecture to perform professional architecture services for MPO downtown traffic, pedestrian safety, and wayfinding signage and parking study, and hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to negotiate a fee schedule and establish a not-to-exceed limit with this firm. And I will say that Ms. Botop addressed this during the work session, so do we need to have her back up there to discuss this? Think not. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to rescind and then award. Any final discussion?
I got one. Is this going to present a different type of parking study than what we've already had done?
Study this study.
I mean, it looks like we're doing a study to do a study.
I can answer that. No. This would be a follow-up to a recommendation that came out of Dan Burden's study, and what it will be is the actual design and implementation for the wayfinding and some pedestrian safety features that can be implemented. So it's a grant that we received through MPO to do that. So it's really following up to something, it's taking us a step closer to getting some of the recommendations that Dan Burden made actually implemented. Our hope is that the grant will actually cover the implementation, working with our Public Works Department to put the signage into the ground. That's what we're working toward, so that we don't have to cover any more costs.
Sherry Lee, help me out. I don't see it in here. That's a 20% matching grant. Is that correct?
Yes, that was
I
a
don't see it,
20%.
But I believe that is correct. It's at most a 20%.
At most,
let's say.
it's 20%. I believe it is 20%.
So again, to make sure I understand this is not a study. This is actually going to implement what we've already done.
Yes, it's a follow-up to a study that was already done. And it's a planning grant. It's called a PL grant, but it can pay for the implementation of the recommendations. So we're getting both out
But
of
he'll
this.
say, instead of Dan Burden's study that says, you should have wayfinding signage downtown,
Right.
this service will say, you need to put this type of sign here, or on this corner, or this sign on this corner.
That's right. It'll show exactly where it needs to go, what it needs to say.
What it looks like.
What it looks like. The design will be done. And also pedestrian safety features, and not the things that were part of the Neil Schaefer traffic study, which are really multi-million-dollar implementation, but some things like some crosswalk safety features that we can put in as part of this grant too. So it's basically getting as much as we possibly can out of not a huge amount of money.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, resolution passes. Thank you, council. Item 12 is a resolution that the City of Fairhope approves the assignment from EnviroChem Incorporated to Pace Analytical Services LLC, and authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to execute the assignment since EnviroChem joined operations with Pace Analytical Services of Mobile on August 11th, 2017. And as part of the terms and conditions of the contract, EnviroChem Incorporated is requesting the city to approve the assignment. Everything good with this, Deborah?
Yes.
Bookkeeping?
Pace, yes. Pace bought out that name of that company, and we're in the middle of a contract with them, so we must approve this.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Okay, to approve the assignment. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, approve the assignment. Item 13 is a resolution. The City Council approves Goodwin Mills and Kaywood for an increase to the architectural/engineering fee, and authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to negotiate a fee schedule in a not-to-exceed figure and to execute Amendment Number 1, Phase 2 to the contract, and to approve Goodwin Mills and Kaywood to let the bid for approved work for RFQ number PS016-17, Professional Architecture Services, for project number PW007-17, repairs to the library structure 2017. And that was a mouthful. Richard, you want to explain what all that meant?
Yes, sir. This is a follow-up to the presentation made at the last council meeting where they had shown where some of the leaks were determined and the process by which they go about getting them fixed. There is one question I'd like to find out, though, and I'm assuming we want to do all of this work at one time and prepare plans to get it all done. I mean, I think they can itemize some of the components, and we can get individual prices for some of that, although the fee I don't think will change except for the construction inspection work that may be limited if we choose not to take all of it. But I'd recommend we do the whole thing anyway. But we will get the professional services agreement set up where there's a percentage or something like that in the inspection services part of it.
So, Mr. Peterson, if I read this correct, we would select them to negotiate the fee schedule not to exceed figure for amendment number 1, and then approve them to let the bid for the approved work. So we're allowing them to be selected and approving them prior to seeing what the cost is for them to. We're approving them prior to seeing what the fee schedule is.
Yeah, I think what it should say is that we should have the schedule not to exceed figure is what I'm hoping. That Mayor Wilson negotiate a fee schedule not to exceed figure to execute the number 1, which I think the amendment number 1 is to transition from the investigation work, which was the original contract, to the preparation of plans and specifications to get bids to repair the building.
But if we approve them to let the bid and we don't know what the fee schedule is, it kind of lets them know.
Well, I'm hoping that
charge what you want. Not saying they would go out and gouge us, but I'm saying.
They would never do that.
And that's a blank check, right?
Right. Wait, save that thought for like item 30 down here. We get to. Now, I think the intent here is to have Mayor Wilson negotiate a fee schedule not to exceed figure. I think that's on the second and third line of this, and to execute amendment number 1. So what we'd like to do is, I think typically you would be able to review that not to exceed number.
Correct.
And authorize her to execute
The contract.
the agreement. I think that may be the part that is misleading.
Yeah, typically we get she comes back with the fee schedule and not to exceed figure, and then we approve it, and then they let the bid if we approve it.
Correct.
I mean, council, it's written to go ahead and approve it and let the bid, but do you want to see this fee schedule before you do that, or do you want to approve it as written? It looks like it's written to save some time, which it certainly would, but it'd save another council meeting, but I don't know if that's a good habit to get into. Any comments?
I don't disagree with you, but, at this point, what do you do? I mean, they come back and their fee is higher than you want it to be.
And I think some of that may be the fact that they disclosed their potential fees or their estimated fees during the presentation, and maybe that you may already be aware of what those fees may be.
Is that what that number is that's on the memo? There's a number in a memo, $49,631. But that was for the initial survey, right? That was for the.
This is for the.
No, I think that is what the fee would be to prepare the.
Construction documents?
No, I take that back. I think the 49,000 is the original number for the investigation work.
Right.
The fee that was on the presentation is estimated to be, to prepare plans, is $36,303 based on the architectural fee curve. There'll be a consultant design details and drawings for the repair, which would be $13,600. And then a construction testing and post-repair work would be $14,400 listed in what they proposed during the presentation last council meeting. That total comes up to $64,303.
Okay, so
I don't know that that's going to be the number that we come back with, but that's come straight from the presentation they made. And that's based on a project that is estimated to cost, let me find that number,
I think it was 6 million, wasn't it?
No.
$529,000 total. I think the construction estimate was $465,000.
Okay. So that's to prepare, so council, if you vote on it as written, you're basically looking at $60-something thousand to prepare the bid specs.
I'm kind of with Robert. I mean, at this point, what do? If it's higher than you think it should be, we still kind of married, right?
They're always higher than you think they should be.
Well, and this is not really giving them a blank check either. This is, I mean, they still have to negotiate a not to exceed figure with the mayor, so she can
Correct.
put some cap on it. It just doesn't have to come back to us again. So I'm fine with it as written.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you how I'll go along with that. I think that's a slippery slope, but, okay. Do we have a motion in a second yet?
No, you don't.
Okay. All right, any questions for Richard? Any other questions for him?
Yeah, Jack, one more thing. You know, we talked previously about the project. I don't know if I talked to you, Richard, directly, but about maybe breaking out if there's interior work, repairs that need to be done, about maybe putting that under a different scope of work where it might just be the exterior renovation project that would be handled under this bid process, and then the interior work could be, you know, let out to bid after this initial exterior renovation is done.
I don't have a problem with that. If the contractor's specialty is roofing and maybe stucco
Right.
and
You
window
might not
shade,
want them in there redoing
that
drywall and
may be
ceilings.
fine. I'm trying to look now at what interior work would be required.
It'd basically be finishes.
They're showing interior repairs at $5,000. And everything else looks to be exterior work. So I mean, you know, it may not be enough to have another contractor come in and do the work, but we can certainly look at it.
Is that normal for the professional services provider to give us an estimate prior to asking for what the fee schedule would be? Is that normal?
Yeah, well, I mean, this was part of their proposal or their recommendations from the investigation work they did on the leaks. And the one, you know, if you recall, they showed the floor plan of the library, and they highlighted the areas where they found leaks and showed.
Great job.
And so they provided a cost estimate to have the repairs completed based on what their investigation.
Not the cost estimate for the repairs, but the fee schedule.
And the fee schedule, right, yeah.
60-something thousand, is that normal?
For construction documents?
Well, no, I'm talking the fee schedule to write the specs.
That's right, that's to get the construction documents to let out to bid.
Right, is that normal?
That's
to get that
standard, I mean.
price?
Well, they just followed up from their estimate of construction costs with an estimate of fees. I'm not saying that's what the fees are gonna wind up being in the contract, but
But
that
if you
was
remember
part of it.
last
Now, I'm not
meeting-
saying,
Making sure that we're
Last
following
meeting, EDS
bid law.
came with the proposal for the pro shop. You know, they had their fee, and then they had a cost estimate of what the repairs were gonna be. So, I mean, this is a different process than what we followed for the pro shop, but
and neither would I suggest that the estimated construction costs are gonna wind up being exactly like they're estimated either. I mean,
Right.
it could,
that's just a guess anyway.
it could be less, but it
Sure.
would more likely be more.
All right, if it's normal to get an estimate, I'm just making sure we're doing it right. Okay, all right. I'll entertain a motion to pass resolution, item 13.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve, also to increase the fees and to let the bid for approved work. Did I get all that right? Okay. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank
Okay, only 21 items to go. Item 14 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Vulcan Incorporated to perform professional engineering services for the Rock Creek stabilization for the Public Works Department with a not-to-exceed amount of $49,550. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Peterson?
This one was negotiated, by the way. And what we did, we separated not to exceed cost into 4 categories, one being surveys, one being engineering, one being the hydraulic modeling of the watershed, and one being the environmental permitting, thinking that some of those costs would be less. And we just felt like that was the appropriate way to negotiate this particular price. I don't know if y'all been over the Rock Creek Bridge going into the subdivision or not, but on the north side, they're starting to become a significant eddy current that's washing out some of that slope approach to the roadways. We need to get it done pretty quick.
All right, we have a motion and a second to execute the contract with Volkert. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. Item 15 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to approve amendment number 2 to the contract for professional engineering services for RFQ number PS 001-17 for the Fly Creek Marina Seawall Improvements 2017 with FMS Engineering Services Incorporated at a cost of the amendment not to exceed $4,000 and a total contract not to exceed $13,000. And have Mr. Peterson, also Robert Rome can speak to this. I think I could even speak to this if necessary. Go ahead, Mr. Peterson.
Well, in the construction of what was bid, which was including the decking of the area right adjacent to the fuel pumps, we found the head wall that would protect all the backfill from getting out into the basin there had failed, and there was some significant erosion that had undermined the slab where the fuel tank and the fuel pumps sat. So the Public Works Group came in and sandbagged with Sackcrete around the perimeter of the concrete that had been undermined and core drilled into that slab and filled all of that void with grout. So we feel pretty solid about the concrete structure and the fuel tanks and the fuel pumps that are there. What we had to do, though, the contract was only to put new decking on that portion of the pier, so what we wound up with is a change order that is estimated, and the estimate from the engineer is about $10,000, although, and Deborah pointed this out, when you start looking at some of the unit prices that they're referencing in their estimate, it looks to me like it may be closer to $12,000 when you start looking at what they're talking about putting in there, comparing to the unit prices that were bid for the repair of the bulkhead further north on the creek. So, but this change order would be to improve the bulkhead system, to be able to backfill against that bulkhead system and put in new stringers and new supports, new tiebacks, with new decking around the fuel island that is just really a change to the original contract. The engineering services are part of that too, which would be a not to exceed $4,000. So when you look at the total change order, we're looking at up to $13,000 in construction cost and up to $4,000 in engineering services.
Now, Mr. Peterson, we're not talking a lot of money here, but why are we trying to re-engineer the fuel tank slab when we are proposing to move those fuel tanks? So why spend any money on that area?
The fuel pumps will remain there. The fuel pumps will remain there. The fuel tanks are there too, though. And you're right, we're going to move those tanks further inland, I guess, and put a different system in there where they'll be contained, similar to what the fellow was talking about with the berm around the lift station. But we'll provide some containment for the fuel and
pumps, and I've heard.
Well, I said they're both right there, and I use them interchangeably in that particular. But you're right, we're going to move the tanks off that area, that slab.
So I did want to also say, for clarification to council, that this is the area just immediately to the east of the boat travel lift, which is an entirely separate project. So this is just kind of finishing up the, as he said, the decking work that was going to be done to the fuel dock and shoring up the foundation that will be directly beneath and adjacent to the
Correct.
fuel dock. Okay. All right, with all that, where am I at, Clark? We got a motion and a second for that?
No, you need a motion and second.
I need a motion and a second for this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize to approve the amendment. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right. Item 16 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute change order number 1 to bid number 026-16, cleaning and inspection of sanitary sewer mains. Project SCW 002-16 in the amount of $39,784.79. An award of the change order to Smith Industrial Service administered by Volker Incorporated. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
And that's a negative 39,000.
I'm about to say, we're improving,
Okay.
saving 40,000.
All right. That's
I'm
a,
sorry.
No,
We're
that's
saving
not-
40,000.
No, well, yeah, we're saving 40,000 on the inspection and cleaning part of it.
Right. I see the others.
but,
But,
We ain't got, that'll be on item 17.
okay. All right, well, this one, at least we're saving money, so we have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the change order, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Now, here goes the but. 17 is a resolution, item 17 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute change order number 1 to bid number 027-17, cured in place pipe for sanitary sewer mains in the amount of $27,819.60. An award of the change order to Suncoast Infrastructure Incorporated. Now, explain to us the difference there.
Right, we still saved about $10,000.
Okay.
But this is actually putting in the cured-in-place pipe lining system. So we added a little bit extra to that, but we didn't do as much video inspection as we'd wanted to.
sounds good.
And these are summary change orders, and this contract, and on the next two items, you'll see what we're doing. This is a summary change order for what occurred this past year under this contract. Now we're looking to extend that contract. We have the opportunity to extend it for 2 more years, and so everybody's agreed to allow us to do that from the engineering and the construction side of it. So what we'd like to do is extend that contract and do some more cleaning and sewer rehab work, you know, while we're thinking about it.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion and a second, clerk?
No, you don't.
Boy, I'll tell you what's a long agenda. All right, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, resolution passes. Thank you, council. And we are going to get a little quicker as we go along here. Item 18 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract for extension number 1 of bid number 026-16, cleaning and inspection of sanitary sewer mains with Smith Industrial Service Incorporated for an additional 1 year as per the terms and conditions of the original contract. The annual bid for unit prices as listed on the attached schedule with a not-to-exceed amount of $81,550. Mr. Peterson?
Yes, that is the amount that we anticipated paying last year, but you'll see the negative 39,000 on the change order. So last year, we spent the 81,550 minus the 39,000 on the inspection and cleaning.
Okay. The only thing that jumps off the page at me, and I'm sure that this is necessary, but it says the project is provided for in the FY 2018 budget. I find it hard to be provided for in the budget since we've not even approved the budget. So, we've not even seen the complete budget for 2018, so how is it provided for?
It's provided for in the proposed budget.
It's in the proposed budget. All right. Any questions, council? All right, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the execution of this contract.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will say that I hope that we put that in the budget because we're.
I don't want to tie your hands. We can date this thing after the budget's
We're good.
passed.
All right. We have a motion and a second to execute the contract, extension number 1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay.
Richard, I'd rather tie our hands. I'd like to get this is what's cleaning up this system. I want to get this system cleaned
Yeah,
up.
I mean, anybody against
Thank you.
doing this?
I do too.
Make sure we put the money in there for it.
Okay, item 19 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract for extension number 1 of bid number 027-17 cured in place pipe for sanitary sewer mains for an additional 1 year as per the terms and conditions of the original contract. The annual bid for unit prices as listed on the attached schedule with a not to exceed amount of $341,350. Not enough money for you to spend this year, Kevin?
It's a help.
Yeah.
It'll go away.
Double it.
Double it. All right, that's also provided for in FY 2018 budget. I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? As much as we need to do this, guys, I say, hey, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. That's $422,000 that haven't, been in the budget yet. So keep that in mind when we look at that budget.
Just one other thing about these two contracts. I spoke with Tim Patton today, and part of the when you go through and clean and inspect and video these lines, there's a video document that we will have, but we'll need to attach it to our map. We'll need to, with our mapping system, we'll need to create an attribute for that particular line segment, and it'll need to have that video attached to it. So there'll be a follow-up professional services agreement that allow us to do a little bit of inspection with Volcker and provide some avenues in our mapping system to document what we find and what we do, so that when somebody wants to hook up to a sewer system that we've done this for, then they can look at that video, see where the lateral may be tied onto that main line, and help locate the lateral. Hopefully for the builder and the plumber and everybody concerned, it'll be a lot easier.
If you can't find a lateral with a video, you need to find another line of work.
Sir?
So if you can't find a lateral with a videotape, you need to find another line of work.
Right. That's why we want to have it documented on that line
Absolutely.
segment, so we
Yeah,
can know where it is, yeah.
Nothing better.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of passing this resolution, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, resolution passes. Item 20 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract for extension number 1 of bid number 036-16 turf grass sod for public works with the Chapman Company, doing business as Kraft Turf Farms in Foley, Alabama, for 1 additional year, beginning with the expiration of the original contract that will end October the 14th, 2018, as per the terms and conditions of the original contract. Contract unit prices awarded are on the attached schedule, and that'd be tab 20 with a not to exceed amount of $25,000. Ms. Smith?
This is an extension of a contract. We have a 3-year, we have a contract that's renewable for 3 years, and all the terms and conditions are the same this year as they were in the prior year.
All right, council, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend the contract. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, contract is executed. Thank you, council. Item 21 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract for extension number 1 of bid number 032-16 jail inmate meals of 2016, rebid for American Wholesale Groceries Incorporated, doing business as American Foods for 1 additional year, beginning with the expiration of the original contract, and will end on October the 1st, 2018, as per the terms and conditions of the original contract. The contract unit bid prices varies per item. You see an attached list for an estimated amount of approximately $45,865.88. Entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Smith?
This is the same thing as the other one. This is a 1-year contract renewable for 3 years, and this will put us into the 2nd year of that contract, and all the terms and conditions remain the same.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you, council. Item 22 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract for extension number 1 of bid number 033-16 perennial ryegrass three-way blend ryegrass seed for sports fields from Site 1 Landscape Supply, LLC, for 1 additional year beginning with the expiration of the original contract and will end October the 17th, 2018, per the terms and conditions of the original contract, with a cost of $57 per 50-pound bag and a not-to-exceed amount of $25,000. Entertain a motion, extend this contract.
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Same thing?
Yes.
Is $57 for a 50-pound bag of ryegrass a reasonable price? Anybody know? Is it that much? Anybody?
No idea.
So we're just ryegrass ignorant, and we're going to vote on it, right? Okay. All right, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor to renew the contract for another year, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, it's passed at $57 a bag. Item 23 is a resolution to award the bid for food for Quail Creek Golf Course Clubhouse to American Wholesale Grocery Incorporated with a total bid proposal estimated at an annual cost of $35,000 to be offset by Quail Creek food sales. Entertain a motion, this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion? Ms. Smith?
We put this out to bid this year, and the bidders that we had bid on it did not include produce, that's fresh fruit and vegetables. So those items will need to be purchased locally. We don't expect the total price of those fresh food items to exceed the bid limit of $15,000. So we're bidding this part of the food, and the other items will have to be purchased from a local grocery store.
Was there any time left on the existing contract, or had this expired? Was it expiring?
It was let to be expire. It could have been renewed. It was not renewed.
So it had a renewal term of what, an additional year?
Yes.
And are the bids that we received less than the bids, are less than the price that we were paying to, I believe, who was it with, Greer's?
It was with Greer's, and Greer's did not bid this year.
But are the new prices less than what the contract? So we rebid it when we had another year extension.
Yes, we did. I can't tell you the answer to that. I don't have that information here in front of
But
me.
they didn't rebid. Well, if we bid it and we don't have the existing prices, this is kind of like a couple of other things that we put out for bid when we had years left. And we can't be told if we're saving money or not. So, anybody else question that? Is it just me? I don't understand it. We're extending these others, and we put this out for bid when we had a year, and I don't know if we're saving any money or not.
Well, I've got a question. Until we find out, can we table it?
Well, it's already expired now, so we
It's
can't
already
renew it.
expired. That contract expired around August the 7th.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to make sense that we get some sort of notification before a contract is expired so that we know when these things are running out, and if we have bids to match, that we can determine whether or not it makes financial sense to renew the current contract or extend the current option before accepting these other bids. Okay.
It's my understanding that Mr. Hall told Mr. Ames that we would not rebid, we would not renew the Greer's contract.
What's that again, Ms. Smith?
It's my understanding that Mr. Hall told Mr. Ames that we would not renew the Greer's contract, so we bid the project.
Okay.
There's one piece of information I can add, and that was
Okay,
the
sure.
way the food was delivered to the clubhouse by Greer's.
Okay.
Not refrigerated in the trunk of a car. So there were some concerns, and that's what Mr. Hall was telling me. There were some concerns about, nothing's happened, but the delivery was a problem
Because they were delivered in the trunk of a
because of the way they were delivered.
But nothing had happened. I mean, it's not a very long drive out there. It's maybe 5 minutes.
fresh meat should be delivered refrigerated.
I hear you, but we're not driving the food down from Montgomery either. It's from downtown out to 181.
Yeah, and my point might not be specifically for this, but I do think if there are contracts that we have options on, before we decide on a rebid or to determine if we are going to select another company when we have an option, I think we need to see those options before we vote and before that contract before the term to accept or extend that option has expired.
I agree with that, and I can tell you that a lot of these renewals that are on the agenda tonight are because I went through that contract list myself.
Yeah.
And I made sure that any contract that was going to be rebid between now and the end of the year got approved by the council before my last day of work.
Thank you, Deborah.
But some of those had expired. Not Deborah definitely picked up the slack here at the end, but that's part of the.
This is the only one I know of that
Yeah.
expired.
No, I meant during the course of the year, So, anyway, we definitely want to stay ahead of that long before it's expired.
Clerk, we do have a motion in a second, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Any final discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of awarding the bid, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. One last comment on that, council. I guess I just have a little sensitivity to, a local grocer, and, I think that I would like to have known if this cost us more, and I hear what you're saying about that, too, and concerns for that, but when we're talking about a small local grocer, it matters. It matters to us. Item 24 is a resolution to award a rebid for printing of the calendar 2017 for the Economic Community Development Department to Caligas Photo Supply, doing business as Caligas Printing, with the bid amounts on the attached bid tabulation recommendation not to exceed unit cost of 18.6 cents each, not to exceed 5,000 copies for each at 6 issues per year, bid number 027-17. Sherry Lee, the one question, the wording of this says, never mind, it says it right. Go ahead.
Hi. What were you going to say?
I see it, misread it.
Okay. So this is taking the place of the long-awaited replacement of City Sketches. This is the new City Sketches, so it's a newsletter and a calendar of events. And that was something that I think was in progress before I came to work for the city, but it was decided and worked with the mayor to design a calendar that will also have news and other events. And there was a lot of discussion about whether or not to continue a newsletter at all, and we determined that people really love that printed newsletter and they want something to take home, and we thought a calendar would be, with feedback we've gotten as well, something that they would really enjoy to put up on their fridge and see what's coming up and make their plans, on a bi-monthly basis.
And this was already approved.
It was.
This
We're
is
just
a
extending the number of
What is
printed.
that?
Y'all have already approved it, but we're
It
doing
was extended
bi-monthly.
from, it was 2,000, wasn't it?
It was done from monthly. at
Monthly to-
2,500.
That's
to now
right, to
bi-
bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly, 5,000.
5,000, so it really
To
doesn't
save some
change.
money.
Right. That's right.
Any questions for Sherry Lee? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to award the rebid.
So moved.
Do we have a second? I'll second.
I'll second.
You'll second? Okay,
I do have a question. It says for the Economic Community Development Department. We don't have an economic,
Knew that was going to come up.
we don't have one. Economic and Community Development Department, there is no department.
Well, Kevin,
I
the
didn't write it.
departments are actually something that the mayor puts together, and there is an economic and community development department.
Well, it's not funded. I know that.
Well, then you're not funding anything that's already been existing in that department. We're just now reorganized it in a different way.
I don't know how we fund something for a department.
I would, I did, when I reread it, I saw what had my attention, and that was it, that word economic. I know that you have a title. What's funded is Community Affairs Director, and I know the mayor has given you another title, which she has the right to do that, but technically, it's the Community Affairs Department. It wouldn't change anything on the expense if we wanted to retract the motion and change the wording in the resolution. It says for the Community Development Department. If that would make it acceptable to everyone. Would that satisfy everybody?
It satisfied me until I saw an organizational chart that showed said department and where it was
Who made the
funded.
original motion?
I did.
Would you retract it and amend the word?
I mean, if we really think it's necessary, I will, but I don't know that.
I'm not saying this is necessary, but what I don't want to do is get into the budget cycle for 2018 and there be a department that has different personnel in it.
There's not
that
going to have
the council
different
didn't approve
personnel.
the funding for those positions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically there is no department, so you can't approve it.
There is a department for economic and community development.
May I ask you to withdraw your motion and make a motion and strike that out? Jay, I mean, it.
Just make a motion to amend this motion
Okay.
with the
I
strikeout.
think that's as far as the budget's concerned and the expenses go, it'd be more proper to remove that word. Can I get a motion to amend the resolution to strike out the word economic and the word and?
All right, I'll make a motion to amend my motion, striking out the word economic and.
Mr. Nguyen, is that correct? He amended his motion, but I wanted a motion to amend the resolution.
I think, the motion to amend the resolution as you request.
Okay, I think we need to amend the resolution. Can I entertain a motion to amend the resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend the resolution as written, remove the words economic and, that's in two places, first paragraph, item 1 and item 2. And also in three places. I have a motion and a second. Any final discussion on the amending the writing of the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the resolution as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to pass the amended resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the amended resolution. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, resolution passes. Thank you, council. Item 25 is a resolution to award a rebid for the installation of seasonal supplemental LED lighting 2017. Gotta get that out again. Let's see, clerk, you wrote that to say, look at the, what we handed out prior to the meeting. It just says, the city of Fairhope did request receiving open bids for the installation of seasonal supplemental LED lighting 2017. You can read the bid number. Rebid at 555 South Section Street. Skip down to item 3. After evaluating the rebid proposals with the required bid specifications, Bayshore Electric LLC, with the bid amount on the attached bid tabulation and recommendation not to exceed $138,800, is now awarded the bid for the installation of seasonal supplemental LED lighting 2017, contingent upon the opinion of the Alabama Ethics Commission. Councilman Robinson.
You want me to explain that?
Yes, but also do we need to have more language in that says, in the event of a negative opinion by the Alabama Ethics Commission, the bid would be awarded to, and we wouldn't have to have another meeting. It would just go ahead and pass. We could say, if the opinion is to the negative by the Alabama Ethics Commission, the bid would be awarded to Winterland Incorporated. Can we, that's allowed, isn't it, clerk? Would that be allowed, Mr. Nguyen? Or is that getting too much into it?
I think it would be allowed, because they were the only two bidders anyway, weren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So if the first bid, the low bid cannot be accepted because of an ethics issue, then I think it's appropriate to go to the second bid, the second low bid. The other choice is to rebid the whole thing, and we don't have time to do that, I don't think.
So I would like to make them, well, I'd like someone to make the motion to amend the resolution to add an item 4 that says, if in the opinion of the Alabama Ethics Commission, Bayshore Electric cannot be awarded the bid, that the bid be awarded to Winterland Incorporated.
All right, I will make a motion to amend the resolution to add an item number 4, that if the Alabama Ethics Commission decides that Bayshore Electric cannot participate in the bid, then the bid would go to the next lowest bidder, which would be Winterland.
Okay. I have a motion to amend the resolution as written. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend the resolution as written. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the resolution as written, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed, say nay. I guess I should have said if you're in favor, say aye, shouldn't I?
Well, now you gotta vote on the
Yeah.
resolution.
Now,
As
I will
amended.
entertain a motion to approve the amended resolution. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the amended resolution?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the amended resolution. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I want to explain to anybody that wasn't in the work session to hear this, just briefly, sort of what it's about. We put out for bid the lighting of our trees. We got 2 bids in. One is a local company that was actually the lowest bidder, but one of their, I guess maybe it's one of their owners is a former employee of the city of Fairhope that had worked here within the last 2 years. There appears to be some conflicting rules in Alabama ethics that we want to make sure we're not on the wrong side of. My interpretation of it is I think we're probably okay, but we're not, it's not clear enough that we're ready to move forward. If we have an obligation to accept the lowest competent bidder that meets all the bidding requirements. So without knowing for sure whether or not this bid is acceptable, we can't ignore the bid, because then if they determine that it is acceptable, then we have chosen the highest bidder, which we cannot do. So we're conditionally accepting the low bidder with this caveat that it has to be approved by the Alabama Ethics Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
there's also, I would like to say there's a discussion on the table for using our own forces as opposed to outsource the lighting of the trees. It's a test theory no matter what you do, and I think this year, I was thinking about this with the advent of the storms in Texas and in Florida. We're going to be losing a lot of people at a crucial time to be putting these lights up and do it properly. So if we were going to test this theory, this is the absolute optimum time to do this for this year. And then we find out what, we normally don't have the storms like that, hadn't in the past year, but we did this year. And we're going to lose a lot of personnel in the next few weeks due to helping out others, which we obviously should do. And so I think this is going to be a good time to find out if this is going to work or not.
I wanted to also add, Mr. Wynn, in the work session, you asked the question, if, and I think that the way that our resolution is written now, we're completely covered. I think all parties are covered. Clearly, all parties are covered. But you had asked the question, should we have awarded that to Bayshore and they not be allowed, that who would be in the violation of that? It's the receiver of the contract that would be in violation. I'm pretty certain, my education, is the one receiving the benefits. So, we are required to vote on the lowest bid or lowest responsible bidder in this case, if we believe that they are. And it's up to them. The onus is on them to determine whether or not. So they would have to go to the Ethics Commission for clearance within so many days of being awarded that contract.
If they get the contract, they have a duty within 10 days
Correct.
to send the contract to the ethics commission.
That's correct. But I believe that we've covered them and ourselves anyway, any way you cut it with this. Okay,
I think so.
all right. Any other discussion? I believe we have a motion and a second on the amended resolution.
Yes, you do.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the amended resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, amended resolution is approved. Thank you, council. And you're welcome, electric department.
Hey, Jane, just to add a note to that, I got confirmation from Electric Cities that we will be sending a crew in the morning at 4 a.m. to Orlando to help Orlando Utility, four men, 2 trucks.
Okay, thank you. Be safe.
Thanks, Joe.
Remember travels. Okay, item 27 is a resolution. The city of Fairhope has voted to purchase the Everbridge emergency notification. Did I skip one?
26.
Yeah.
I thought I may have. Item 26 is a resolution that the governing body of the city of Fairhope, Alabama hereby rescinds resolution number 2798-17 due to the city being told the system could be purchased through a buying group, which turned out not to be the case. After much discussion with the city attorney and OneSoft, the distributor for Code Red, it was decided that another notification system might be a better fit for the city. So I'll entertain a motion
So
to
moved.
rescind the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Montgomery, you want to explain this just a little more? It pretty much speaks for itself.
It
We were
speaks
told
for
it was on a buying
itself.
group, and it's not on a
Yeah,
buying group.
went through the buying group, and they wanted us to sign a big, long contract that wasn't favorable for us, so we want to go ahead and rescind it, and
Had we signed the contract?
No.
We hadn't signed the contract.
Mr. McDowell worked on that, and he might be able to shed some light on it, or
We're not going to get in trouble for breaking the contract or anything. We
We
haven't
haven't
signed it.
Signed it.
Contract. It was actually, the council approved the GSA, signing the GSA contract, and there's some provisions in there that we don't like. He's correct about that. But we had approved the GSA. We could not work around some of the issues in there, some statutory language that has to be included in those contracts. We would get that put in there without having to bid it out. And I think there's some other issues too with that Code Red that Mobile was backing out of, that Jefferson County was backing out of. ADM actually, Jay, I sent you a text recently about ADM actually just put out last week a notification system for sewage spills, which within 15 minutes of notification for ADM, they distribute a wide blanket of notification. So part of the stuff that Code Red was covering has been covered by ADM and some other things. So I think that was one of the considerations. I don't know all of it. I just dealt with the contract issue. And the contract issue was something we couldn't overcome, and the time that I worked on it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to rescind. Do we already have a motion and a second?
You have a motion and a second.
All right, have a motion and a second to rescind the resolution. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of rescinding the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, resolution number 2798-17 is rescinded. Item number 27 is a resolution that City of Fairhope vote to purchase the Everbridge emergency notification system service for the IT department or direct procurement from Everbridge of Pasadena, California. This is a non-budgeted expense over $5,000, which requires council approval. The cost for the first year is $7,961.76 and $7,372 annual cost after the first year. Mr. Montgomery, you want to explain that?
okay. Yeah, so this is the replacement for the Code Red service. Everbridge, a couple of their customers include state of Florida, and I registered to receive their notifications over the past weekend to see how the service performed. Seems like a great service. It does everything we want it to do, from the emergency notifications to sewage spills to meetings about the Marina. We can sign up, we can set up any type of notification that we want to have people sign up for and send out the notifications.
How much employee involvement does it require
To
to set up? That is.
set up, it'd just be a probably me and John Saraceno initially to set up, probably some help with the GIS department to load some custom maps in.
And it captures all of the data and loads the
Oh,
software.
okay, as far as gathering the numbers, Everbridge is going to assist us with that, how the best way to go about marketing the software to get people to sign up. They'll work with us to do that, so we could do that by sending out a mailer through utility bills, putting it on our website.
Do you have to opt in then to be notified? I mean, it seems like-
They give us a database just like Code Red would have. So they have a database that will cover probably about 75% of the population. So we'll send out an initial all call to that 75% that we have. Gives them the chance to opt in or opt out. Gives them more information about it. Then the other 35% we'll hub capture by Facebook post and social media, website, mail outs.
Questions for Jeff?
Yeah, what does this do that the ball and EMA, ADM, and FEMA doesn't already do? You can sign up with them and get the same information.
They won't. We can, if we have a sewer spill, we can send it out within minutes.
Well, ADM will do the same thing.
Um,
We're getting ready to spend $15,000 over 2 years plus $7,000 additional each year, unless they go up for something, for services we can already get if they sign up with the county services, the way I understand it. I'm trying to figure out what the expenditure is for.
Again, I mean, we don't have to just use it for emergency notifications. We can use it for notifications for meetings. I mean, any type of notification that we want. We don't have to rely on somebody else. We could just send the notification out.
Are there any other cities that use it?
Oh, yeah.
Other than the state of Florida?
Let's see. City of El Paso is on the list, City of New Orleans. I got a small list here. State of Connecticut, Homeland Security, IRS.
I think the whole state of Florida.
Yeah, whole state of Florida.
But this also, I mean, y'all had already approved Code Red, which cost.
It was 30,
30,000.
around
Right.
30,000.
This is the same concept, but it costs much lower. And this is for communication, not just emergency communication. It's for all communication they want to opt in for.
I'll give you an example, Kevin. The one thing with the county system, I got an Amber Alert on my phone one time, and it told me to call a number, and the number was 251-783-4200. That didn't make sense to me. Is it? Whatever number I just said, don't call that number. I didn't mean to make it right if that was a real number, but the system is more human-like. It has more human-like features when the call-outs are sent. You could do it in your own voice or a more realistic computer voice.
Who's going to be responsible for sending out the notification?
I think that'd be John Saraceno's department. Probably, I would say in cooperation with the department heads. You know, if there's an if there's a outage.
Every department head using it at some point.
Yeah, if there's an outage in, say, the Destrehan subdivision, then we could just draw a circle around. You know, they can call John or myself up. We could draw a circle around the Destrehan subdivision and send an all call out for that subdivision, letting them know
That's how
that
you do it. You literally can just.
just draw a circle, right?
Okay.
This would also save on calls to the call center. things like
Absolutely.
that. I mean, it's just another
That's
level
a
of
good point,
communication.
Mayor.
Yep. I mean, everybody's like, what? Did you just say something? Anyway, thank you. But this was what he had proposed in Code Red, too. It definitely would
It's the
save
same, yeah.
Cheaper.
money and help with communication.
All right, I hate to ask again, clerk, where are we? Do we have a motion?
You need a motion in a second.
Huh?
You need a motion
I
in a
need a
second.
motion in a second on item number 27.
So moved.
All right, did I get two motions or did
Yep.
I get
You got
a
two
second?
motions.
I'll give you a second.
Thank
Okay.
you. All right, we have a motion and a second, vote to purchase the Everbridge notification system. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving this purchase, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, purchase is approved, thank you. Item 28 is a resolution that the compensation and job classification plan, along with the grade order sheet, be amended and approved to add and change the following job positions and the job descriptions and grade of pay for same. Marina manager, grade 22, and the changing of the facility service coordinator from part-time to full-time, grade 14. Is there a reason we put these in one resolution when they are like completely opposite ends of the spectrum? That's like Congress. Council, does anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I was wondering if we could switch that to individual.
We can. I mean, we can do what we want to do, but does anybody, I mean, not that I'm against either one of them, that's just a kind of, I can't discuss them like that, like I'd like to.
Well,
if we do that.
it makes it feel like it's a package deal. And
Right.
I don't think that's how it ought to be done.
Right. I would like to ask if somebody would like to entertain a motion to amend a resolution, item number 28, to add to the compensation job classification plan, along with the grade order sheet, be amended, approved, add a change. The job description and pay grade of Marina manager, grade 22. And then we would add, as the next item on the agenda, we'll call it 29, to change the facility service coordinator from part-time to full-time at a grade 14. Can somebody entertain a motion
So
to
moved.
amend the agenda? I have a motion.
Get a second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of amending the agenda to split those resolutions into two in those positions. Okay, all those in favor of amending the resolutions, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Now, item 28 would be the compensation and job classification plan, along with the grade order sheet, be amended and approved to add and change the following job position. Marina manager, grade 22. I'll entertain a motion to add the job description for the marina manager, grade 22.
I'll make
So
a motion
moved.
to do it, because I'd like to discuss it.
Right. We have a motion to add the position.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the marina manager position, you understand that Lynn did a lot of research on this, but to me, it's just growing government. And the marina manager is not going to be able to do everything. Then you're going to have an assistant manager, and you're going to have assistant to the assistant. And I'm just not sure we've been better addressed following a different path. That's just my opinion.
Councilman Boone, did you have a comment?
Yeah, my question was, if this is implemented, will someone be hired right away, or is this funded, or how does this work?
Well, this just adds it to the compensation study, the way I understand it, which truthfully, if we want to fund it, we would need to fund the position as well, and it's something that we can discuss. But that's the answer to the question. My thoughts are that I don't have a problem adding it to the job classification study, but I'm a little bit hesitant to want to fund it because I just don't know what they're going to do all day long at a marina where the only thing people do is pull in their boat, tie off their boat, and leave. And, we have a harbor board that can make recommendations to improvements. We're going to need somebody there, but do we need that position there full-time right now? I just don't know what they do for 8 hours a day. And Ms. Mays, I see you up there, and I'll give you an opportunity to answer that.
Thank you. The job description that's been created has work for the marina manager to do. He's interfacing with customers. He's there in the event that there is an emergency call from a boater. He's there for fueling. He's there for maintaining the grounds, and that's not just the docks and the finger piers. That is the grounds, the beach that's out there. These are the areas that the current lessee was responsible for maintaining. And that's what a marina manager does. He assists those who are in the slips. He works the leases with the people who come in, the transients who come in. It's an 8 to 5 days a week job. Initially, the consideration was to have the marina manager and 2 part-timers at 19 hours a week at some point in time. But we can't, we're going to be taking over the marina October 15th. And we can't look like a field of ants wandering around down there with harbor board members and whoever trying to steer this thing and get it going where it needs to go. We need someone who has the knowledge and the understanding of marina operation to help us through what is going to be a transition. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not something that we can play around with at this point. We need someone who's there, who is a steady face for our customers and who is a steady face for the city to be representing and working that marina on our behalf and managing it and in control of our interest, our asset.
So right now, you're not recommending any part-time help to this person?
Not at the moment. Now, I understand there is a transition period. At some point in time, probably the first of the year, he's going to want help. He can't work a 7-day week, he or she.
What is the pay grade? What is the pay for a pay grade 22?
It's in your,
It should be
tab
there, and
22 there.
you should have the job description there.
270 and change to 61,232. Midpoint is 49,750.
Okay. That's what we had discussed. I just want to make sure.
Yep. I tried, but I didn't get away with it.
Not a problem.
If you look at the things that we have to do now, just to get us going, we're a marina manager and the harbor board. Thank you, Councilman Burrell, for offering up their services. If you look at what we need to do to get going now, we have a new lease that's been written and that I'll send over to Tut for review, new rules and regulations. We need to get copies of the existing leases. We need to know when they expire. We need to know the names of the slip holders, the conditions of their leases, how long they are. We have to advise people that as of the 15th of October, their money for their slips comes to us. And if you realize that as of the 15th, we are getting those slip dollars. We have to get a hold of all of these folks. I've got to get with Jeff about phone down there and a Munis setup for charging the accounts, for setting up how to pay for the accounts, a credit card machine for those who want to pay for their account by credit. We have a lot of administrative work to do, and I can't imagine us taking over a viable business and keeping it viable while we're marketing it without someone who's been in the business and understands and can guide us through it. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, you did it twice, Tim.
Thank you. But did I get Kevin?
I don't know. I mean, you got anybody else? I don't know. You know, as I'm thinking too, it could be splitting hairs to delay it for maybe a month or 2 or 3. That'd be splitting hairs too.
It would
It'd
be.
probably be damaging to us in the long term.
We'd be calling each one of you to spend the day down there running the marina.
We'd put Bob Riggs in charge of it.
Don't tempt him.
He's the official greeter. Don't take that job away from him. The official looper greeter, aren't you, Bob? That's it. Okay, council, we have a motion and a second, I believe, to approve the position.
Yes, you do.
And if we're going to do this, we have to follow that with another motion to fund that position, I believe, because it's not currently funded. So let's go ahead and just get this one resolution out of the way to add the job position of marina manager at grade 22. Any questions or final discussion on that? Okay, we'll call the question on that. I'll ask for all those in favor of the resolution to add the marina manager to the compensation study, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay. Motion passes. All right. If you want to actually hire somebody, we need to fund this position. So we need to amend the agenda to add the funding of the marina manager. It's not a budget. It's not budgeted. Let me just put it out there to you like that. Somebody want to make a motion to amend the agenda to add a resolution to fund the position of marina manager.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to fund the position of Marina Manager at pay grade 22. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to point out that I had the same reservation as Robert about growing government, and I've talked to Lynn about this, and that was my initial opposition, I guess, to having the city take over the marina. I thought we should bid it out as a package deal for the boatyard and the marina. That's always an option that we can go to in the future. If we're going to try to run the marina, I think that we have to have the proper tools to at least give it a valiant effort. And if we decide after a year or two it's not working out, we can always put that out for lease. And unfortunately, if that were to happen, then those employees would either need to be reassigned or that would just be part of the deal, that if we're not going to manage the marina, we don't need marina manager. But I think if we're going to manage it, that we need to have the proper people in place to at least give it a good attempt.
I want to comment that this gives the mayor the leeway to hire within that salary range, and I want to ask you, Mayor, to stay in that mid-range, if you will. And I also ask you to, consider the hours that they're going to work, because Saturdays and Sundays are big days, maybe quite possibly the biggest days for marinas. So if you only have one, you might want to think about that, or how you're going to do that, or because then we're going to be looking at adding another employee right behind that to assist that person. So I don't know exactly what that looks like in the hours, but
There's no doubt that eventually, within the near future, we will have to add a part-timer. It's 19 hours, and we can figure, I was thinking in terms of $10 an hour. It has to go through a comp study for something like that, but that's strictly to help with the fueling and certain on-call things. But the one thing I can promise all of you, that unlike the other assets we are managing, this marina is going to make money and cover these costs and then some.
I will have to say that if we're going to go the opportunity, which you have convinced me that we can do it, we got to do it the right way, and I believe this is the right way.
Thank you.
The only but I have on it, again, is the leasing of the boatyard. If we cannot lease it without some form of usage of the marina itself, we may, like we had talked about before, there may be a problem with it later on. So I don't know about that until we get the lease done with the boatyard. You understand what I'm saying?
With what you've done tonight, we can go ahead and send the RFP elements down to Dee Dee and have her start putting something together that you can all see about the marina, but or the boatyard. But basically, what we would be doing when we've got it ready to lease out is working in a partnership with them, because we are going after clean marinas. So we're looking, and in those elements, we're asking for somebody who's willing to work with us mentally on the whole facility to achieve clean marina status, which requires a close partnership. And I don't see why what you were talking about earlier this week might occur for our part-timers. Yes.
Well, the deal is, I was a little reserved of doing all of this due to the fact that without one, you can't have the other. But I was put at ease by some conversations I had with some other people that were looking at doing it, and they said it wouldn't bother them. So, I'm just, when it's a done deal, you feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Yep. Very rarely am I 100% optimistic. I am 100% optimistic about how this is going to operate.
We have a motion and a second on the table to approve the funding of the marina manager at grade 22, to amend the budget, amend the agenda, okay, to add that. So all those in favor of amending the agenda to add the funding of the position, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, resolution passes. Now, would somebody like to make the motion to fund the position of marina manager at grade 22?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the funding of the marina manager at grade 22. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Resolution passes. See why we split those up now, the positions. It was just way too much I knew we had to discuss on that marina. Okay, now, we amended the agenda earlier to split that up. So now, On the changing of the facility service coordinator from a part-time to a full-time position at grade 14. Sherry Lee, Jim?
What would you like to know? We talked about it in the work session. I've met with several of you and emailed you some background on it. Jim can speak to the actual need of the day-to-day. I've spoken to you all about some sensitive personnel issues. And so, you want to talk to the need, and then I'll speak to the money.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mayor, Council. The Nick Center is a growing entity of the city of Fairhope. Our membership is up, our activity levels are up, and in order to continue to do that, bringing a part-timer to full-time status is really going to put us in a playing field that we can grow the Nick Center. There is enough work for both of us. She will be, or that this person will be my assistant, but will be taking on a separate set of duties as I'm doing. I'm doing the general management of the business, all of the financials, all the staffing, the maintenance. She will handle some of the event coordination. She will handle some of the social media aspect of it, handling our calendar and our membership database. There's a lot of work there at the Nick Center that goes on every day, and it really does require another full-time person. Right now, I'm the only full-time person. I've got part-timers. What this will also bring is some continuity to the facility. On a regular day-to-day basis, having two full-time people, one handling that first aspect, and then me handling the business end of it.
Any questions for Jim or Sherry Lee?
Do you want me to continue with Kevin's looking at me for the money. I can tell. He's got that look.
I'm sorry, let me lean back, get more relaxed, how's that?
Yeah, that's better, thank you. So I did want to say also, you may or may not know, Nick's runs 7 days a week, and one of the things I've talked to some of you about is I'm really trying to individualize each of the centers so that they're running, Jim is doing a great job. Misty would be working with him, but 7 days a week, you need some redundancy in that. Somebody doesn't show up on a Saturday when we have a wedding, we need someone there that's full-time that we can call on, or we're going to go into overtime. So that's one. Money. So she is, or this person, it's the same person that we're asking for right now, so I can say she. She's working 19 hours a week right now. She is staying in the same pay grade. Currently, we had a little bit of an issue with her pay grade because she wasn't paid within that grade. So if she were to be paid where she should have been paid, it would have been at $12,000. She does not need benefits, but if she did, it would be 34. She doesn't, so it would be 26. And she'll be full-time, same title, some expanded responsibilities, but the title stays the same.
She doesn't need benefits.
She has a significant other that has benefits.
That gets their benefits for free. Who in the world would take their spouse's benefits when the city of Fairhope offers them for free?
I believe her spouse works somewhere in the utilities.
Oh, in utilities. Oh, they work for the city then. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get too personal.
I was going to say, are you sure?
Right, but as Kevin pointed out, something could happen to this person, so what would it cost as, a position with benefits? So I wanted to put that out there for both. So as it stands now, it would be at the, without benefits at 26.
But that'll change in time, of course. I mean, personnel change.
We hope not for a while. She's done a great job for 9 months. So.
But they're really talking about the difference between full-time and part-time as well. It's not a completely new position, right?
That's right.
Are you going to fill, you made it part-time to a full-time, so there's not an open position to be filled part-time, right?
There will not be.
Okay. Council, any question? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the changing of the facility service coordinator from part-time to full-time at a pay grade of 14.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay. The change from a part-time to full-time position is approved. Thank you. Item 29 is a resolution that the Operations Director, Mr. Richard Peterson, as Engineer of Record for the Marina repairs, is hereby authorized to expend appropriate but necessary funds up to $3,500 to secure technical data regarding capacity and condition of the travel lift facility and potential forklift. Get that motion on the table, entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd prefer we sub this engineering out. I think Richard's got more important things to do, engineering.
And that's the purpose of this. One thing I did want to ask, there was an email that Lynn had sent out about some environmental assessment work at the site. Has anybody thought more about that? Is that something we want to look at as well?
I think we do. I think we do want to look at that.
Okay.
But let's not
I
slow
understand.
this up to do that. And, Robert, this addresses the very thing that you're asking him about. Because he still can be engineer of record, but he's getting some assistance on the project, some engineering.
Just kind of
services
coordinate it
through
all,
this.
but
He's getting some consultation. is what
we'll
he's
get the
saying.
travel lift issue resolved and see what the environmental assessment would involve, and I'll report back to
I
y'all.
definitely think you need to come back with something on
Yes,
environmental
I'll
assessment.
do that.
We're going to do that, and we're going to be Clean Marina,
I think,
what you're pushing and the Environmental Advisory Committee's
Yeah.
pushing, Jimmy, then.
And what we're talking about is, whether there's places on the site that they poured oil or they disposed of paint that wasn't, things like that may or may not be discovered, but just to look and kind of give us
Like a phase
all
one
clear.
or something like that?
Something like that, I would think, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like what I brought up the other week, Richard. It's the fact that if you're getting overloaded, which prolongs this project to get done, I would hope you'd let us know that you're going to need some more help or do something, because the objective is to get the project done. And, if we can try to save money through using you, that's great. But if we're going to do this to save money, but prolong the project to such an extent that we're not really doing, we're spinning our wheels, it doesn't
I
work out
agree.
that way.
I agree.
But only you can tell us that.
All right, thank you, and I will. And right now, just looking at the next item on the agenda, that may add more time to the equation, but I don't know that yet. But, I think we're, trying to keep our head above water right now. And also, as Robert and Dan start to retire, we've talked about an engineering department, and we talked about some support that way, and that'll help, if it works out. I'm pretty flexible on all this stuff, but, we have to talk about these things to know what direction we want to go, and getting goals and some priorities from y'all would be a benefit to that and help, but.
Guess what my priority is?
It'll just come by the office and we'll
We've been
talk
talking
about
about it for about 4 months.
Right. Well, hey, it's advertised as we speak.
No problem.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table, I believe, to authorize Richard Peterson to expend up to $3,500 for technical data regarding the capacity and condition of the travel lift facility and the potential forklift. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank you.
No problem. Resolution passes. And item 30, which might be the longest resolution I've ever seen on an agenda in 5 years up here. Resolution that the City Council has established a financial advisory committee with the mission to investigate and analyze all aspects of city finances, including assets and liabilities, income and expenditures, cash flow, financial policies and procedures, and purchasing policies and procedures, that all anticipated or requested expenditures for capital purchases, matching funds for grants, land purchases, donations, community development projects, increases in debt or expenditures not included in the city's current fiscal year budget, be submitted to the Financial Advisory Committee for analysis and recommendation before being submitted to the City Council for consideration, except that if either the President of the City Council or any other Two members of the city council shall determine that such anticipated or requested expenditure is an emergency which cannot be delayed. Such requested expenditure may be submitted directly to city council for consideration. And that resolution number 1562-09 adopted on September 28, 2009 is hereby repealed and replaced by said resolution. Entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Not going to repeat it. All right, we have a motion and a second, basically slightly redefining the roles of the Financial Advisory Committee that was established in 2009. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, just when you thought you're out of the water, I need to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to make 4 appointments to the Financial Advisory Committee. Handed out a sheet, the work session. This is 4 of 5 we envision. We still lack 1 more member, but this would make them active. These appointment nominees are Chuck Zunk, Paige Stallcup, Will Newberry, and Tim Rawson. Somebody like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add the appointments to the Financial Advisory Committee?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, the agenda is amended. Now I'll entertain a motion for the 4 appointments to the Financial Advisory Committee, namely Chuck Zunk, Paige Stallcup, Will Newberry, and Tim Rawson.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just say those are 4 impressive individuals, and I am grateful that they'd be willing to volunteer their time.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of the appointments, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, we have 4 or 5 right there. Okay, item 31 on the agenda, appointments to the Pedestrian and Bicycle Committee. Do we even have a tab 31? Okay, the nominees for a 3-year term are Matt Love and Mr. Gary Gover. Entertain a motion for those appointments.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to make the appointments of Matt Love and Gary Gover to the Pedestrian and Bicycle Committee for a 3-year term. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the appointments, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, item 32 is an application for a nonprofit tax exempt license or an alcoholic beverage license by Point Clear Charities for Polo. It's 2917. That's getting a little ahead of ourselves, aren't we? I want to assume that's a typo.
Maybe.
All right, I think that's 2017 for Polo at the Point, Fairhope Feet, located at 7883 County Road 32, Fairhope, Alabama, on October 13th, 2017 through October the 15th, 2017. Chief Pettis, do you see any reason to deny this application?
No, sir, it's something you do yield.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this application.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the beverage license. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, the application is approved. Item 33, here's a request from Jenny Klein of Forever Homes Animal Rescue requesting permission to close the streets in downtown Fairhope on October 26, 2017 from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the Fairhope Witches Ride and Black Cat Block Party to raise money for the Forever Homes Animal Rescue, a 501c3 corporation. Chief Pettis, any reason to deny this application or request?
No, sir, it's just another yearly event we have.
Okay, you see the cost and the applications in there, council. I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to grant permission. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of granting the permission, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Opposed, say nay. Okay, request is granted. Thank you, council. Item 34 is a request of Pat Hawthorne, Fairhope Film Festival, requesting permission to close the streets in downtown Fairhope, a part of De La Mar on November the 11th.
17.
That's going to be 2017, I hope. From 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the Fairhope Film Festival Street Party to honor local filmmakers, and we'll have many celebrities here to help us congratulate them. All right. Chief, any reason to deny this application? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve this application to close the streets.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to grant the closing of the streets to the Fairhope Film Festival. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of granting permission, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, permission is granted. Public participation, if you have anything else to bring forth before the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. You'll be given 3 minutes.
Paul Ripp with the Ripp Report. You know, you look back and you guys want to strike economic away from Community Development Department. Been fighting that ever since the mayor took office. But yet you want to have a financial advisory committee, which I think is excellent, because they did do a very good job before. So I don't understand. It looks like the same motivation on the insurance. Last week, Mr. Burrell, you denied me the right to speak, and I find that kind of confusing because you actually are the one that put this policy in place. For those of you that weren't here, years ago, people would come to the council meeting, and they were addressing the council in the beginning of the meeting with a lot of different issues. So then it was decided that the council would be best to have one participation at the end of the meeting and one at the beginning, and the one at the end of the meeting was where somebody could address whatever they wanted to do. You say it's a right or a privilege. It's definitely a constitutional right because this council has done this as a policy. This is what you've been doing for 5 years. It's not as if you have already said, okay, some people can talk, some can't. This is what you've been doing as a policy. That needs to be clear to the people that live in the community. And also it comes up time and time again. Do you live in the city or do you live out of the city? That's bull. You're in 36532, you're in the jurisdiction plan, you've got your kids in school. If you're outside, doesn't make any difference. You should be able to speak when you want to at the meeting. Last but not least, there's been leaks going to the papers, and I'm talking about particularly the IT thing. Mr. Robinson, I believe you made comments previously that you didn't think it was prudent or smart at all that the council or any information be shared with the people that are suing us. Okay? Then Mr. McDonald also said the same thing. However, upon subpoenaing the information before the ink was dry, the papers got it. So somebody's leaking it. It's either somebody on the council or Mr. Wynn. I'm eliminating you, Mr. Wynn. I don't believe you would do that. But it's counterproductive. You're giving information to somebody that's suing the city. Now, I'm going to be involved with a suit with the city. You going to start giving me information, start leaking me information? I'd be happy to receive it. But there needs to be some sort of policy, and I don't see where you're going with this, because assisting people that are litigating against the city, and you're the one getting the information for them, seems to be very, very, very dangerous. I think you should clear up the policy on public participation if somebody is able to speak, whether they're in the city or not, so where we don't have to go through this again. For those of you that weren't here before, we did this 3 times before. 3 times I hired attorneys. 3 times the city had to retract and let the person speak. You don't want to let me speak? Then you have to pass a policy that says that. And if you think that people are going to come up here and public participation and all they're going to do is say good things, well, they're not. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to say the negative. It's not a right, it's not a privilege, it should be an obligation. It should be an obligation of the citizens of the community to take advantage of it and take the time out and sit through all this time to be able to speak. No one should be denied. Thank you.
Mr. Rip, thank you. I'll let you go about 4 minutes there, and I do want to say that thank you for recognizing the fact that I was the one that changed the council policies and procedures and allowed the second public participation. I do want to address something that you said about the outside or inside the city limits. I can tell you that sitting here, I've never one time made a decision based on where you live, because there are numerous times I recognize the fact that just because you don't live within the city limits that you're not affected by decisions made by the city. You may be in the police jurisdiction or planning jurisdiction. So that, sir, had no bearing on that decision last week.
Also, I recognize you, Jack, for having the video put in, because that's going to be very useful.
I did. Thank you, sir, for recognizing the fact that I had the council meetings and the planning commissions videotaped as well. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to address something if I could, just for a second. Mr. Rip, you did allude to the fact that I had made a comment that I did not think the Elias documents should be produced to the other side. And I think what you're referring to is when I was provided these documents, I sent an email to the council and to the mayor and to our attorneys attaching these documents with the statement that I did not, because there was some sensitive material involved, I did not think it was prudent to produce until our attorneys had the opportunity to look at them. So I do find it interesting that you had, I won't respond to what Matt McDonald said because he is an attorney for the city, but I do find it interesting that you knew that I made that comment, so it maybe sounds like somebody has leaked some information to you as well. But I will say this, I think ultimately the determination has been made by our legal counsel that those documents should be produced to the other side in the normal course of litigation, and if they are, if that's their decision, then that's what should happen. But that was my comment regarding the sensitivity of these materials.
I'd also like to say that in the world of transparency, there's no such thing as leaks. I've never heard of a leak in the world of transparency, where everything's open, everything's supposed to be available, everything's out there, but all I hear is leak, leak, leak. There's no such thing as a leak in the world of transparency. That's all I got to say.
Jack, I've got something. And Mr. Rip, we appreciate your comments. What we don't appreciate is your divisiveness. You write this blog twice a week. And I can't remember, a couple of weeks ago, somebody made a comment on your blog about seeing myself and Jack Burrell passing a stack of papers to a reporter down at Lulu's. I haven't been to Lulu's in 3 years, and you in your following blog said, won't this be interesting to see where this goes? So we just ask you to state the facts and quit putting the BS out there is all I ask.
It was put up as a comment. It was a comment.
And you included in your next blog, so now you've got everybody questioning in the city my integrity, and I don't appreciate that. So, hey, we can talk outside if you want to continue this conversation. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
My name is Chris Tony. I live at 505 Myrtle Avenue. I want to speak to Paul Rip. I want to say that I really don't appreciate that he stands up here repeatedly, makes unsubstantiated allegations of corruption about the members of the city council and the people of the city. And I think that you did the right thing last time by making him sit down and shut up, and I would like for you guys to continue fighting back against unsubstantiated allegations of corruption. I don't believe that you guys are involved in these things, and all I hear is talk, talk, talk. I'm tired of this guy standing up here and bad-mouthing you guys, and I want you to stand up and fight for your rights. Stand up and fight for your reputation, because you guys are being damaged by this, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing his nonsense at these meetings. And I'm going to go under my 3 minutes, but I'm just wanted to get that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, I will close public participation, and I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. We're adjourned. Thank you.